Phil Foden was once hailed as the crown jewel of Manchester City's academy, the perfect heir to David Silva's throne. In the 2023-24 season, he exploded into life, scoring goals, creating chances, and lighting up the pitch with dazzling performances. He was celebrated as the creative heartbeat of Pep Guardiola's side, and the Premier League Player of the Season award felt like the perfect recognition of his rise to the very top. But just 1 year later, the story has taken a dramatic turn. Instead of being Guardiola's first name on the team sheet, Foden has found himself increasingly on the bench, reduced to late cameos or appearances in games of lesser importance. On some occasions, his name didn't even make the squad list at all. Fans can't help but ask, what happened to the prodigy once tipped to lead City's attack for the next decade? Is it down to injuries, ruthless competition, or perhaps pressures away from the pitch? Let's dig deeper into this puzzling decline. Guardiola once described Foden as the best player I've ever seen at 17. And for years, the young Englishman lived up to that label, mesmerizing crowds with his silky dribbling, his ability to wriggle free in the tightest of spaces, and the fearless confidence that made him such a joy to watch. But this season, that sparkle has dimmed. What we're seeing now is a heavier, less sharp version of Foden, often substituted early or left waiting on the sidelines for his chance. One of the key reasons lies in his physical condition. Foden has been struggling with a persistent ankle injury. Damaged ligaments have robbed him of the agility that once defined his game. And in football at the highest level, being even a fraction of a second slower, losing that burst of acceleration, that sharp twist to escape a defender, can strip an attacker of his biggest weapon. Sadly, that's exactly the trap Foden has fallen into. What makes this situation even more worrying is that the injury isn't severe enough to sideline Foden for months, but it's just nagging enough to hold him back. City's medical staff have advised him more than once to take a proper break and recover fully. Yet the relentless fixture list, combined with his fierce determination not to lose his place, has pushed him onto the pitch when his ankle was far from stable. The result? He hasn't been able to train at full intensity, and he's lost that pressing rhythm that Pep Guardiola demands as a non-negotiable. At Manchester City, where every single player is expected to operate at maximum intensity for 90 minutes, even a 5 to 10% drop in physical output is enough to leave you out of sync with the machine. But beyond the physical toll, there's the mental battle. Foden himself admitted in an interview that this past year has been one of the hardest of his career, not only because of the pain in his ankle, but also because of the weight on his mind. He spoke about frustration, exhaustion, even anger at himself. Watching teammates take the positions he once owned was a bitter pill to swallow for someone long hailed as City's golden boy. And when the mind is unsettled, confidence on the pitch inevitably suffers. That's exactly what we've seen. Foden looking hesitant in front of goal, less aggressive in his runs, more inclined to play safe sideways passes instead of driving at defenders the way he used to. It's a vicious cycle. The injury drags down performance, poor performances trigger self-doubt, and that self-doubt makes recovery even harder. Foden has been caught in that spiral, slipping from City's talismanic hope to a player Guardiola now deploys cautiously, almost selectively. For Guardiola, the collective always comes first. He cannot gamble on a player who isn't at his peak, no matter how talented. What Foden needs now is time, patience, and above all, a full return to physical sharpness. Only then can he rebuild the confidence that fuels his game. Only then will we see the real Phil Foden again, the one whose improvisation, speed, and technical brilliance can light up the Etihad like few others. Even if Foden manages to steady both his body and mind, another storm awaits him. The brutal competition for places in Guardiola's Manchester City. Pep has always demanded a fluid, interchangeable system, one where every player must constantly prove their worth through form and impact, not just reputation. This past winter, the arrival of Omar Marmoush brought fresh energy to City's attack. The Egyptian forward wasted no time making his mark, bursting past defenders, injecting direct pace, and producing decisive moments straight off the bench. In many ways, his style mirrors Foden's, but with a sharper edge and a fearless confidence on the ball. For Foden, still trying to rediscover his rhythm after injury, that meant the spaces available to him grew narrower. With Marmoush delivering consistently, Pep no longer felt the need to take risks on a half-fit Foden in big games. Then came the summer, and with it, another new challenge. Rayan Cherki. The Frenchman arrived and quickly displayed a creative spark that set him apart. Vision, flair, unpredictability, and a technical freedom that Guardiola craves. Suddenly, Pep had a new weapon, one capable of operating in the very roles Foden once called his own. To make matters worse, even academy graduates like Oscar Bob began seizing their chances, pushing Foden further down the pecking order. This is the unforgiving truth of elite football. No one is untouchable. A breakout season guarantees nothing the year after. And the competition doesn't just come from new signings. Veterans like Bernardo Silva continue to deliver, keeping the bar high for everyone around them. Foden is no longer the undisputed choice. He's now just one of many, fighting for every minute, every opportunity, every spark of brilliance. At Manchester City, Pep's loyalty lies not with sentiment or status, but with whoever is performing at their peak. That's why, despite Foden's remarkable technique and sharp footballing brain, he's had to accept a supporting role in many matches. The rise of Marmoush and Cherki is a stark reminder. Football waits for no one. Once newcomers adapt and shine, the space for those recovering or off form inevitably shrinks, regardless of their name, reputation, or past accolades. For Foden, that means learning to bide his time, watching from the sidelines and being ready to explode the moment his chance arrives. He's no longer the automatic centerpiece, but rather a challenger in his own right. And in many ways, this is his greatest test yet, not just of talent, but of resilience. In modern football, form always outruns fame. Phil Foden entered the 2023-24 season bathed in brilliance. 19 goals in the Premier League, more than 27 across all competitions, and a highlight reel packed with moments of pure magic that left fans spellbound. He was hailed as City's new symbol, a star capable of dictating the game and delivering match-winning sparks whenever his team needed them. But that very brilliance came with an invisible weight. The higher he soared, the heavier the expectations became. Every dip in form, no matter how small, was magnified. Every quiet performance drew scrutiny. And this season, with his numbers shrinking to just a handful of goals, Foden has felt the crushing pressure of the sky-high standards he once set for himself and for his club. In the midst of it all, Guardiola has walked a fine line. He affectionately calls Foden his baby boy, a testament to the bond and trust he holds in his academy gem. Yet Pep's loyalty has its limits. Everything still hinges on current form. Manchester City is a machine chasing titles in both the Premier League and the Champions League, arenas where there is no room for half measures. That's why Pep leans toward those hitting their peak in the moment. Players fit, fresh, and delivering consistently. When Marmoush arrived in winter and immediately lit up the attack, when Cherki came in summer and proved his worth almost instantly, Foden's window of opportunity narrowed even further. His technique remains sublime, his vision razor-sharp. But Pep Guardiola doesn't balance sentiment or history against present performance. At City, only today's output matters. Foden's increasing time on the bench is not an act of abandonment. It's part of Guardiola's delicate man management. Pep knows that forcing a player back into the spotlight before he's fully recovered, both physically and mentally, could backfire and hurt the entire team. Instead, Foden must now learn to embrace this new role, to work tirelessly in training, to seize every chance, and to grow through the challenge. This is the true test of maturity for a young star, to realize that a career is not built only on flashes of brilliance, but also on patience, adaptability, and the strength to rise again after setbacks. In short, Phil Foden is facing the greatest trial of his career, the grind of a persistent injury, the weight of expectation, and the relentless fight for a place in one of football's toughest squads. But being benched more often is not the end of his story. It is a necessary chapter, a moment to reset, to rebuild, and to rediscover the very best version of himself. With patience, hard work, and Guardiola's careful guidance, The light that once dazzled the Etihad can return, perhaps even brighter than before. This is not just a tale of temporary decline, but a reminder that true talent always finds a way to shine again. Foden is waiting for his moment, and the fans still believe the day will come when he reclaims the stage, stronger, sharper, and ready to write the next chapter of his legacy.